welcome back. I'm going to talk today about my blood work that I had done in June. So every year around June time, I get my blood work done, just for like my annual checkup and stuff like that. So this year, unfortunately, my doctor told me that the test that I got last year, she wasn't going to request again if I didn't need them. So unfortunately, I couldn't get all the tests that Dr. Berry recommends you get every year. So some of these I can't tell you if it's going to be different, if it was different, but my doctor said she wasn't going to submit them and stuff like that if I didn't need them to be done, which is kind of a bummer because some of the numbers I kind of wanted to see, but they're pretty much all in good standing. So last year, so I'm not too worried about it. But it'd been nice to see if there was a difference at all. So maybe hopefully this year I can talk her into it since I did skip a year. But so when I weighed in June at the doctor's office with my clothes on and everything, I was 122 pounds. So cool. My BMI was 0 out of 10, so I am well within my BMI chart. And let's see, my pulse was 62, and my heart rate during this visit was 104/68, which is a little bit on the high side for me. Actually, I normally have low blood pressure. That's why I give blood in the afternoon. And when I'm giving blood, I don't sit down and have a seat and wait for them to call me. So, because if I do that, then I don't have high enough blood pressure to donate blood, and I am O negative, so I do like to do that every 8 weeks. A couple things that came out of my doctor visit is, yes, I still have high cholesterol. Compared to last year, it is lower. However, I still have high cholesterol. My doctor I already told her I'm not taking a statin. She's like, okay, can I recommend some natural ways for you to lower your cholesterol? And I said, sure. Of course, it's fruits and vegetables and beans and all that. And I was like, I'll try an apple. So I came home, I bought some apples because I usually buy apples every now and then. I give them to my chickens. So I just gave the rest to my chickens. I ate an apple and it hurt my stomach. I'm assuming the fiber and stuff like that. And it kind of made me feel hyper from like the sugar rush. So that's a no-go. And I honestly just wanted to kind of experiment to see what would happen. I personally don't care about my cholesterol level. From all that I've researched with carnivores and stuff like that, I personally don't care what my cholesterol level is. But I kind of wanted to see what would happen just with my body in general. And my body didn't like it. So we're not doing that. And my cholesterol is going to be what it's going to be. So last year, since we're on the topic of my cholesterol, last year my total cholesterol was 419. So before I started carnivore, it was 194. It jumped up to a year, 8 months. It actually was 7 months that I was carnivore. It jumped up to 419, and then a year after. So I've been a carnivore in June for a year and 7 months. It was at 350. So it has gone down, which is good. But I think I had a lot of healing to do when I first switched over to carnivore, hence why my cholesterol was high, because that's what your body uses to heal itself. Plus the fat adaptation, hormone regulation, and all that. So I see that going down again next year, because we have been a little over 2 years carnivore. And so I still think we have a lot of healing to do a little bit, and I think it's going to be a few more years before I'm like fully healed. And whatnot. So I think that will go down a little bit. So the general consensus is between 140 and 200. So I am like 150 over the recommended amount. My HDL before I started carnivore was 53. As of June, I'm at 97, which is fantastic. My HDL is going up, which is great. LDL, I started out at 127 before I started carnivore, hit 312 last year, and this year I'm at 242 for my LDL, so I'm still high. The recommended range is 0 to 129, so I am still up there, which is fine, because we all know the truth about cholesterol. And then my triglycerides, before I started carnivore, I was at 161. My doctor did not say anything to me about that. And it actually is high according to the standard mark. So why I didn't get talked to about my triglycerides being high, I have no idea. Maybe because all my other cholesterol levels were fine. So that's really disappointing in the medical career field that they kind of ignored that. Last June I was at 119, so it's getting better. This year I'm at 60, which is phenomenal. You want your triglycerides to be under 100. So those are going in the right direction as well. And when you are low carb or zero carb, your triglycerides should be low anyway. So fantastic news. So my triglycerides to HDL level this year is 0.62. So I'm under the 2.0 that they recommend. Last year I was at 1.67. So it's gone down by like 1. So that's super exciting. So I'm good to go with my cholesterol. Yes, it's the higher numbers, but there's a lot of studies out there. I want to do another video about cholesterol, but there's studies out there that have determined that people that actually have higher cholesterol live longer, and people that have had heart attacks, their cholesterol isn't within normal range, so cholesterol isn't the factor of why people have had heart attacks or heart disease, or why they get arterial blockages and buildup and plaque buildup in their arteries and stuff. So it's all false. It's all propaganda that they're trying to push on you. So I'm still alive. I feel amazing. Still going to the gym all the time. I'm still active. I'm still carnivore. I feel great. So another good test that a lot of people like to go over is your A1C. So last year, my A1C, before I started carnivore was 5.5, and that's leaning towards being almost pre-diabetic. Once you get to 5.7, 6, you start being pre-diabetic. So I'm pretty sure over the next few years I would have been pre-diabetic with the way I was eating before I started carnivore. Last year my A1C was 5.1, and this year my A1C was a 5. So about the same. Because we all know that blood work fluctuates. You can literally take it one day and it can be different the next day. So that's also why blood work's not a tell-all when it comes to your health. You want to go off symptoms as well. So that's good. So my A1C is 5, which is perfect. The recommended ranges are 4.5 to 5.4. So cool with that. I'm good to go. I wasn't able to get my insulin done this year. She didn't want to do it. Last year was 1.2, so it was low. So I wanted to see what it was going to be this year, but she didn't let me do that. The next one is going to be your glucose level. So before I started carnivore, my level was at 89, which is good still with the standard, but Dr. Berry recommends 65 to 86. So I'm still over that. Last year was 75. This year I'm higher. I was at 86. So, I mean, blood work, like I said, varies. I think it's because my red blood cells were higher. And in the carnivore community, it has been known that your red blood cells actually live longer being a carnivore, so your insulin level or your glucose level can actually be slightly higher just because you have your red blood cells are living longer than what they normally do, so that number can be skewed a little bit because they were high. My red blood cells this year were 5.48, so I was over by 0.18 of the recommended number. So I have a lot more red blood cells, which I can see why probably my glucose level was a little bit higher. So I take that into consideration as well. My vitamin D, I got it. I didn't get it tested before I started, because they don't test for it unless you ask for it, which I think is kind of crazy. Last year was 63. This year is 49. So I'm still within the recommended levels. Kind of, sort of. I'm like 1 point below what Dr. Berry recommends. So maybe I take a vitamin D supplement, or I just get more in the sun. So there's that. So I'll see where that level is next year. If it's down or up, I'll go by that. But I don't feel bad or anything like that. Have any symptoms. So, yeah. So I already talked about the big banger, that cholesterol level, man. It's way up there still. It's definitely not in the 400s, but it's definitely still 350. So another thing this year that my doctor commented on, which I think is kind of funny, she does know I do carnivore, and of course she doesn't really agree with it, but that's okay. It works for me. I'm going to keep doing it. Is my sodium level. Which one was it? Okay, so according to my chart, so I chart all my blood work in Excel, and I list it by year so I can keep track of my progress and the numbers and whatnot, and I have all the numbers that Dr. Berry suggests they should be. So that's what I did with all my blood work, so I can keep track of it. So I do have lower sodium. It's not like low. It doesn't register low, but I do have, and I've always have, even before carnivore, I have low sodium. So the recommended range is 134 to 144. And before I started, it was 138. Last year, 138. This year, 135. So I'm on the lower end of sodium. And my doctor said, don't be afraid of the salt shaker. And I was like, I'm not. I eat a lot of salt. And she's like, okay, so like what do you mean by a lot of salt? So I told her, I was like, I take an Element electrolyte packet every day, and that has whatever their thing is. I do the unflavored, by the way, and I actually started making my own, but I have unflavored packets for travel, just because I do have to travel for work. So when I'm traveling, I take my packets, but I made my own because it is cheaper. But anyways, so I told her how much sodium is in that, and then I also told her I take a half a serving of my keto chow daily minerals. Plus, I salt my food to taste. I do not skimp on the salt. I'm salting my burger like crazy. I salt my hard-boiled eggs. I salt my eggs if I have scrambled eggs. Like, I use a lot of salt. I eat a lot of salt on a daily basis. And she was actually really shocked that I have lower salt levels. But she was also said, okay, well, we'll see what happens. Maybe she said, well, next year we'll see what your levels are, and we may have to look a little further into why your body is not maybe holding on to that salt a little bit better. And I was like, okay. I mean, I need to do some research on what the symptoms of that would even be. Like I said, I feel fine, but then again, maybe I have a slight symptom of why maybe I don't feel as my best. But, so yeah, so those are basically the big numbers that a lot of people look at, and I am good on all other levels. Everything is good. I'm good with my inflammation. I good with my kidney function. My kidney function is still greater than 90. Before I started carnivore, I was actually at 90, but when I went carnivore, it actually measured greater than 90. So I'm still doing really good there. I did get my TSH hormone measured, and according to Dr. Berry, it should be between 0.5 and 2.0, and mine was at 2.44. But I was also taking iodine, so I stopped taking that. So I'm going to see what my levels are this coming June and see if that goes back down a little bit. But I couldn't get my GGT done. She wouldn't let me do my homocysteine test either, which is a little frustrating, but I'm pretty sure I'm good on that because it's inflammation, kidney dysfunction, and vitamin B. So I'm sure that was a little high according to Dr. Barry's standards, I was at 10.1 last year, so I'm assuming it'd probably be down below, like, lower than that this year, just because I was still healing. I was only 7 months in carnivore when I got that done, so, they didn't measure my iron level, but I get it. They do that little iron test when you give blood, and I'm usually high 15s. So my blood iron is good there. They didn't let me get my DHEA done. So some of these tests I wish they would have let me get done, but last year when they let me get them done, I was good. Like, there was nothing out of the extraordinary that I had to really worry about. So, and my ferritin levels are higher. It's Dr. Becker recommends 30 to 70. I was at 133, so that's also why I started giving blood more often, is because my higher iron, which is normal for carnivores, so I'm not worried about it. Like I said, I don't have any symptoms because I did look it up for that. So I just donate blood, and I mean, it's for a good cause anyway, I think. To each his own, if you don't, but since I am O negative, I do like to give my blood. So, yeah. I'm still alive and kicking. My doctor doesn't really appreciate my higher cholesterol, but that's okay, because I really don't care. I know I'm still healing. I know my higher cholesterol has really helped with my anxiety and my depression and my overall hormones, especially during that time of the month for me. I have noticed that I'm healing still, and it's getting a lot better. And I'm glad my cholesterol is high so that my body has that to heal, because all of our body cells are made out of cholesterol. Our hormones use cholesterol our bodies use cholesterol to make our hormones. So that just makes sense that my body needs that extra boost of cholesterol because it's healing itself still. So I'm all right with it, and I don't have any symptoms. So, but yeah, so that's just an update on my blood work from this June. So I will see you all next time.